Good morning, tribe, and welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes video with me, your boy Scribe. Today I am going to do a beginner's guide to the Order 66 raid. Understand the mechanics, understand how the enemies work, and how you can score points. This is just a back to basics things for everybody that is brand new to the raid. If you need guides for specific teams, which is not the purpose of this video, I've got an entire playlist on my channel that goes over every team basically at varying degrees of gearing and relicking and all that sort of business. I'm sure you'll find something useful there. But without further ado, let's talk about raid basics. Starting from the start then, if you are brand new to raiding, what I will say is that there are essentially different tiers of difficulty that you can take in individual teams against the raid. Looking in the bottom right corner, you can see the difficulty modifier over here. It goes from tier 0 all the way up to tier 7. The higher tier the difficulty that you go in impacts a couple of things. Predominantly at a very high level, one, the highest tiers, they harder. Typically speaking, it's not technically always true, right? Number two, the higher the tier, the higher the points that you can score. You can see here, for example, tier 0, base difficulty, the maximum you can score is 300,000 points. That's if you were to full clear the entire thing. And then you go to tier 1, 450,000 points. You can see that there is a modifier for the points. Starts at 1, goes to 1.5, goes to 2, goes to 3, goes to 4, goes to 6, goes to 9, goes to 12. More higher tier difficulty, higher the points. So I'm sure you'll ask, why don't we always just go in at the higher tiers? Well, because the difficulty scales, but not only that, there are requirements for you to enter into those tiers. You can see the base difficulty, no additional requirements to go in. You can just go in, right? Tier 1, you need to have gear 12 characters, which in turn means you need to have 7-star characters. There's one exception to that rule, and that's General Hux. He can actually go to gear 12 before being 7 stars. He's the only character in the game that can do that, but he's also not permitted in this raid. Second up, you've got tier 2, you need relic 1, tier 3, you need relic 3, tier 4, you need relic 5, tier 5, relic 6, tier 6, relic 8, and tier 7, you need relic 9, okay? So in order to do the higher tiers, you do need a minimal level of investment in a particular character or every character that you want to take into the raid. You will also notice there's quite a bit of additional text. So, additional effects, for example, at tier 1, enemies are gaining more accuracy, crit chance, crit damage, defense penetration, max health, offense potency, tenacity, and speed, and the offense bonus is going to stack as you get further along. Not only that, individual units on the enemy team and on your side may well gain additional bonuses. You'll see that in this yellow text here. For example, Vader's Fist, Apo gains an additional bonus at the start. So does the Nightfall Trooper, so does the enemy Fox, and the enemy Lord Vader. Now you will notice at certain tiers you will gain faction bonuses. For example, Bad Batch gain a 20% accuracy bonus at tier 2. So if you're taking Bad Batch at tier 2 and above, they gain a faction bonus. Isn't that nice? Also, you can see hero bonuses happen, so individual units as well as factions can gain different bonuses. So it's worthwhile going in and checking to see, are you gaining any particular bonus at any particular level? Is that going to make a significant difference in whether or not you can clear with a particular team or a particular character? Cool business. Within the details page, you can see on the overview the various faction bonuses that are default always applied. For example, pirates, whenever they gain a stack of profit, they're going to dispel debuffs on themselves, and the next ability that they use deals true damage equal to 10% of the max health of the enemy. Jedi Vanguard, extra max health, extra protection. Whenever any turn ends, if the Jedi has 3 or more buffs, they're going to gain stacking offense for the rest of the encounter, and so on and so forth. You'll be able to see all the various hero bonuses that currently exist in the game. I will say that this is subject to change for the pirates in particular. CG are working on the pirate faction. They are most likely changing this bonus, and I would highly suspect we will see a new hero unit for the pirates once we have gotten more pirates in the game. If you want to know which units are available for this raid, you can head over to the unit requirements and it will show you every single unit that you are permitted to use in the game. This is true of every single raid since the Crate Dragon raid. There are only specific units that we are allowed to take. You can see it here, but there is also a faction tag that you can see from your character roster. So if you head over to your collection, you can actually just filter it by Order 66 raid, and that will show you all the characters as well. Now you'll see we are in a raid battle itself. You can see at the back we've got Lord Vader and you've got 3 Jedi. Those Jedi grant you significant amounts of points whenever you save them. In order to save them, we have to have defeated at least one disguised clone trooper or Nightfall trooper, not necessarily Fox or Apo, and then hit Lord Vader 4 times and rescue that Jedi before these stacks of execute on Lord Vader, that you can see here, reaches 0. That counter will decrease based on a number of things, okay? So it can be whenever Fox over here does a basic attack, for example, deal special damage, remove 2 stacks of execute, clone trooper allies gain speed up. So if Fox does a basic, you are going to lose 2 stacks of execute off of Lord Vader. When the enemy does various abilities, that will decrease. Now you can raise that execute by using certain abilities yourself as well. Sometimes that's baked into particular faction abilities. Sometimes that's baked into granted special abilities that we get in this battle. Okay, so how do you go about doing it? How do you go about doing it? Now, if you wanted a very high level idea of what you need to be doing in the raid, it's just defeat Fox, defeat Apo, defeat the enemy troopers, and then hit Lord Vader. Okay? And then each wave, you defeat the enemy troopers, go after Lord Vader. That is how you will maximize your points. But there's a couple of things around why do we do it in that order. Yeah. So I want to teach you the basics so you can understand for yourself. So when you're going on and thinking up your own theory crafting, you'll understand the base principles. All right. So typically speaking, we want to defeat Fox first. Now, what I will say is if you do defeat some of the clone troopers before you defeat Fox or Apo, whenever they use a special ability, they're actually going to just revive these clone troopers. So it's in your interest to defeat Apo and Fox, these two here, before you defeat these guys. It's not always a hard and fast rule, but it's a basic general rule, okay? Now, I'll go over these special abilities just so we know what they do, all right? So Fox's first special, no entry, no escape, cooldown of 3, dispel all debuffs on all clone trooper allies, deal special damage to the target enemy, and ability block them for 1 turn. Can't be evaded, can't be resisted, and you remove 1 stack of execute from Lord Vader. If they had no buffs, remove 2 more stacks of execute for Lord Vader. So it's important to have buffs on the team. Second special, deal special damage to all enemies, inflict a stack of damage over time on the target enemy for each debuff on them to a maximum of 5. Remove a stack of execute from Lord Vader for each enemy that is debuffed, and remove 25% turn meter from them. Recover 50% health and protection. What I'll say is Fox will always start with special 1. He'll always try to get that ability block out, and then he'll go special 2. Typically speaking, you want to defeat Fox before he does special 2. We'll look at Apo then. What does Apo got? On his basic, deal physical damage to the target enemy and grant defense penetration up to the strongest ally that does not have it for 2 turns. On this turn, call all other Darkside clone trooper allies with defense penetration up to assist. First special, call a random Darkside clone support ally to assist, and they stealth for 1 turn at the end of the round. Then deal physical damage to the target enemy and stun them for 1 turn. Dispel all buffs on all enemies. Apo and Nightfall trooper gain crit damage up for 2 turns. This will always be his first turn unless he's ability blocked, right? He'll always start off with that Nightfall ability. He'll always call one of the disguised clone troopers to assist because they are the only support units in this team, okay? So he's going to try and stun you, which can be resisted. He'll call one of the Darkside clone troopers to assist, and he'll dispel your buffs. Second special then, deal physical damage and trigger all damage over times on all enemies. Nightfall Trooper assists and gains advantage for 2 turns. If Apo is not debuffed, inflict Order 66 on the target enemy for 2 turns, which cannot be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. It's important to get a debuff on the enemy Apo, so that by the time he's got his second turn, he doesn't put Order 66 on you, because if he does, you're going to be taking massive damage from disguised clone troopers. Then we've got the 2 Nightfall Troopers over here. These guys, basic then. Deal physical damage to the target enemy and grant defense penetration up to the strongest and weakest ally that does not have it for 2 turns. Remove 1 stack of execute from Lord Vader. His special, call a random Darkside clone trooper support ally to assist, and they stealth for 1 turn at the end of the round. Then deal physical damage to the target opponent. Apo and Nightfall Trooper gain advantage for 1 turn. So they are going to be calling these disguised clone troopers to assist. That's going to make them stealth. They're going to be doing lots of damage. It's a pain. Disguised clone troopers, these guys are the one to look out for. On their basic, deals special damage to the target enemy if the disguised clone trooper has ruse, which means are they stealthed, because they gain ruse when they are stealthed. Stun the target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. If the target enemy was already stunned, dispel all debuffs on them and inflict Order 66 for 2 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, or resisted. Basically, they're going to get called to assist a lot. If it's the start of their turn and they're stealth, they basic you, you're going to get stunned, which is not good. You can't resist it or anything. If they hit you again when you are already stunned with a basic, you're going to get Order 66, which means you're going to take massive damage, okay? They will always use their special though. So, when it's off cooldown. Deal special damage to all enemies and deal an additional 10% damage per stack of damage over time on them. 20% if Disguised Clone Trooper has Ruse, which means if they are stealthed. A maximum of 200% additional damage. Remove a stack of Execute from Lord Vader per stealthed enemy. Then grant Darkside Clone Trooper allies advantage for 2 turns. If the enemy has got less than full health, inflict heal immunity on them for 1 turn, and this is locked. If Disguised Clone Troopers has Ruse, healing immunity can't be dispelled or resisted and inflict damage over time for 2 turns. If they've got less than 10% turn meter, remove 10% turn meter and inflict minus 15 speed on them for 2 turns. Disguised Clone Trooper has Ruse, an additional minus 15% and inflict a damage over time for 2 turns. Finally, if they are light side, you inflict offense down on them for 2 turns, and if they have Ruse, this offense down cannot be resisted, cannot be dispelled, and they get damage over time for 2 turns. Okay, so those are the abilities of the enemy. Ideally, like I said, you want to focus down on Fox first, take him out before he can really get the ball rolling. He might take 1 turn, he might take 2, then you want to try and take out Apo, and then you want to try and defeat the clones before this execute stack goes to 0. Let's go through and defeat Fox, for example. Just try and get rid of him. There we go. So we've gotten rid of the enemy Fox now. When you defeat the enemy Fox, we do actually gain a bonus, ladies and gentlemen, and that is this ability here, Dire Fortitude. This one is actually very, very good. You will notice as well that the execute stacks on Lord Vader have gone down from 25 to 6. So they lost 19 stacks. That's a lot. Dire Fortitude, what does it do? It adds 5 stacks of execute back to Lord Vader. Now, if you are in a Jedi Vanguard team, that bonus is going to be tripled. So you'll actually add 15 stacks to enemy Lord Vader if you've got a Jedi Vanguard team. Has to be a full one. All allies are also gaining the Dire Fortitude buff for the rest of the encounter. What that does is it gives you additional crit chance, defense, and offense. Not only that, whenever that character gains a buff, they're going to stack their crit damage by 10% for the rest of battle. It's very, very useful. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to use that buff, grant that to our allies. And then we're just going to go ahead and try and heal up our team. We want to go after Apo next, take him out as quickly as possible, because for example, if we were to destroy one of these clone troopers, the next time Apo takes a turn, he'll use his special, they'll re-revive, and then they'll get rid of the stacks of Execute on Lord Vader. So let's just try and get rid of Apo. When you get rid of Apo, there is another unique buff that we get, okay? It's called Subdued. This one I don't find to be typically as useful as Dire Fortitude. Alright, all this does is it's going to lower the crit avoidance, defense, and tenacity of the enemy team, and whenever they're inflicted with a debuff, they take additional true damage equal to 5% of their max health. The problem I have with this one is it's only going to apply to the clones that are active at this time. Won't apply to future clones, so it's not as useful in my opinion. So, we still can't hit Lord Vader. We can only hit Lord Vader when we've defeated at least one of these clones, alright? So we're going to go after one of the clones, in particular, Disguised Clone Trooper right now. So let's just get rid of him. Great, we've gotten rid of a Disguised Clone Trooper. Now, if we were to look at Lord Vader, we can target him now. If we hit him 3 times or 4 times, we'll be able to rescue a Jedi. However, I believe, in my personal opinion, you are better served trying to get rid of the remaining clones as quickly as possible. That way, you will be able to not worry about your Jedi getting executed. Let's do that. And get rid of those units. Great. So, now we are actually able to just target Lord Vader quite freely, and he's still got 9 stacks of Execute. Once we have hit him 4 times, in my experience, just like that, you'll notice you get the Rescue ability. Now, what this will do is it will rescue that current Jedi that he is trying to choke. They will escape, and you will gain massive amounts of points. Check out the points at the top. And a new wave of enemies will spawn. It will not include Fox, and it will not include Apo. It will just include the 2 Nightfall Troopers and 2 Disguised Clone Troopers. So let's save that Jedi. Off he runs, and Lord Vader starts executing a separate Jedi. You'll notice new wave of enemies, new stacks of Execute start. So again, you really want to be focusing down on the Disguised Clone Troopers when they're available, because those are the biggest threats and they do stealth a lot. And once you've gotten rid of them, you want to be focusing on the Nightfall Troopers, essentially. So let's go ahead and get rid. Take out the clones one at a time. And again, once you've taken out those clones, you want to focus down on Lord Vader. Now, you don't have to take out all the clones at once. You only need to, technically speaking, defeat one clone in order to target Lord Vader. But if you want the easiest time, you want to be able to just defeat all of them and score the maximum amount of points. Now, what I will do here is I will demonstrate what happens if we do not finish this battle having defeated all of the clone troopers, okay? So I'll just go in and I'll target a disguised clone trooper. You'll see our point score over here. Now, if I was to just go after Lord Vader now, right, we'll try and rescue that last Jedi without defeating the remaining clone troopers. Let's just focus all in. We can rescue them. Lord Vader will then go into enrage because we haven't scored the maximum amount of points. He will go into a solo battle now against your remaining units. He looks rather angry. We've got some units available, and for each turn that we manage to take whilst Lord Vader is in this state, we will gain some additional points, okay? So, for example, if I was to hit him, we gain some additional points. We take another turn, gain some additional points. So you don't have to kill every clone trooper, but it is in your interest so you don't go round into that enrage. If you killed those last set of clone troopers, you would have hit maximum points for the raid. And that's kind of the basics of the mechanics of the raid in particular, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I've got individual guides for every team, so if you want to get the nuance of how to score maximum points with any team in the game, just check through my playlist. It's going to be linked at the end of this video. If you want any more guides, any more advice, please let me know in the comments section down below or swing over my Discord. I'm always active in there. Come have a chat with me, ask me to do particular videos, and I'll try my best to accommodate. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.